Hello, Durud and Shalom. Hi, guys. Oh, I see Jewish Samantha in the chat is saying Candace Owens is accusing the French government of trying to kill her. Yes, and also she also accused an Israeli. She didn't forget to mention. Roy sent me that. Let me know if I should make that a show. I should probably make that a show. But today we're talking about this bombshell. But let me know if you want me to do a show on Candace Owens blaming the French government for attempted assassination. That's a pretty interesting story for us to cover. Okay, how's my audio, by the way? Everything good? Let's just jump right into this. How about that? I'll just keep your look at the chat while you guys are speaking. Yeah, make it a show. Okay, next show. Okay, Jewish Senator, that's going to be our next show because of you, because you asked for it. I'm going to make it a show. Okay.
Some breaking political news tonight, and it is big breaking political news. Just moments ago, the Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene posted on her X account the announcement she's resigning next month. Her last day, she says, January 5th.
I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Back with us now, David Axelrod and Shermichael Singleton. Shermichael, to you first. Is
this the guys? Is this the system working, or something else is happening here? Is this the system basically not tolerating too much of a crazy, too much Jew hatred, too much anti-Israeli nonsense? Is this the American institutions doing its job properly? Is that what's happening? Let me know what you guys, or is this her getting ready for something else?
Back with us now, David Axelrod and Shermichael Singleton. Shermichael, to you first as the Republican in the conversation. President Trump recently said he wanted her prime read. She recently said he was wrong. She stood up to him on the Epstein files, and she won. What do we make of this?
I mean, I'm a bit surprised. I mean, Thomas Massie is also up for re-election, and he's been able to, in a very unique way, pivot despite the president's attacks. I was actually just talking to a friend who's very close to the congressman a couple of days ago, and he was telling me that the congressman has actually seen his fundraising numbers increase by focusing on H-1B visas and focusing on prioritizing work for Americans. And so I would have argued, if I were advising her, hey, you might be able to get through this brief moment in time, but perhaps she thought otherwise. Maybe she's looking at future plans, but this is a big shocker, John.
Her people, David, have said she could.
I don't know what future plans you were talking about. So I see Gandalf is saying no, she's getting ready for another political position. I can't imagine what position right now would be better than what she already had. Like, can you explain what do you mean by that? Like, how would that make sense?
Maybe she's looking at future plans, but this is a big shocker, John.
Her people, David, have said she could survive, that she's been raising money and that she thinks she's safe in her district. To Shermichael's point, she did say, I'll see you again. What do we make of that?
I think that was the key. That was the key takeaway to me. I think she would have won in her district. I don't think this is her assessment of her chances in this election. I think she surveyed, first of all, what it meant to come back to a House where the president was unhappy with her. She has a bad relationship with the Speaker of the House, probably in the minority. And she decided that there might be greener pastures. Remember, John, she wanted to run statewide this year. She wanted to run for the Senate, I believe. And that was turned thumbs down by the White House and the powers that be in the party. I think that may be part of what her estrangement has been about, not questioning her sincerity on this Epstein issue. But I think she's got her eye on bigger things here. As she said, I hope to see you down the line. And I think that is a precursor, because what we know is she is formidable. She's one of the most formidable fundraisers in the Republican Party.
Guys, when it comes to fundraising ability in the Republican Party, she's second only to Donald Trump. And that's how powerful she is. This is, when you see her, she's a big force right now. So I don't know what this means, but we have to keep an eye on her.
She knows how to get attention, and she has made this transformation here that is interesting. Still a MAGA person, but much broader in her reach. So, you know,
she's the real MAGA now. She's okay. So I think we should do that meme. Like, I'm the captain now. I think we should do that with Trump and Marjorie. And she's like, I'm MAGA now. Real.
I think this is not the end of the story here. Not the end of the story.
The question is, what's the next chapter,
that's what I was
Michael?
gonna bring up.
Is it, does she reconsider about running statewide next year? There's a Senate race in Georgia, or we have this conversation all the time. We just saw it in the elections in Virginia and in New Jersey, where Republican candidates try to be like Trump, and forgive my language, but they get smoked because Trump is a unique phenomenon. She actually is like Trump. She actually is in touch with a lot of his base. Do you think she has national ambitions? Is she thinking, J.D. Vance, I'll see you in Iowa?
I mean, I can't imagine that, John. I don't think she would be very successful, if I'm being blunt and candid, as a Republican strategist. I do, however, beg the question, can she actually even be successful in a statewide race in Georgia? Remember, Georgia elected Kemp twice. He certainly isn't someone that I would say is in the vein of a Donald Trump, and has actually had various infighting in the state.
That's precisely, forgive me for interrupting. That's precisely the reason I say, and I know you say, I can't see her going up against J.D. Vance. But David Axelrod's in this conversation. Nobody could see Barack Obama beating Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump is president of the United States for a second time. Nobody could see him winning the Republican nomination or the White House the first time. And a lot of people said he could never win the White House again after January 6th. That is why I say we live in the age of improbable success stories.
Yeah, but John, I don't think she's a Barack Obama or even a Donald Trump. And if she's thinking about a statewide race, and I would imagine David would potentially agree with me here, what is the constituency to propel Marjorie Taylor Greene statewide? She wouldn't get Donald Trump's support, and I doubt that she would get the support of the current Governor Kemp. So then what would be that path to a Marjorie Taylor Greene success to the U.S. Senate? I just don't see it.
David, hang on with your thought. I just want to bring into the conversation. Hang on, David, just 1 second. I want to bring in.
I think they're underestimating her. What do you guys think? Do you think I think they're underestimating her. What do you guys think in the chat?
To our conversation with some new reporting, our senior White
Amir in the chat saying, I think the world will take a very dark turn soon. Oh my God.
House correspondent Kristen Holmes. No. Again, Kristen, this is very dramatic coming at the end of a week where Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, once very close allies, have had a very public and very nasty breakup.
Yeah, and one of the most remarkable things about this is I have talked to a number of people who are close to Marjorie Taylor Greene who described the last several days as painful for her. I mean, you got to remember, there are a number of different kinds of Trump supporters in Washington. There are the supporters of convenience, and there are the true believers. And I do tend to think that overall, the true believers are fewer and farther between. And she was a true believer when it came to Donald Trump. And I think that part of her never thought it would get this bad with the president. And even when she was speaking out against him, I don't think she thought that he would personally attack her. And of course, as we know with President Trump, almost always loyalty is a one-way street. And she learned this the very hard way as a true believer who then essentially got excoriated by him online. And I will tell you, I was talking to people who were close to her who were telling.
I think the Epstein files has turned her into a hero in the eyes of many Americans. I don't know how many Americans, but I think nothing made the Epstein file situation, her wanting them to be released. I think a lot of Americans think that even pro-Trump people think Trump was the wrong side of this, and that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene looks like a hero to them now. What do you guys think? Do you think that's accurate?
Me that she was getting threats nonstop. I know she posted about this, and then you had President Trump, even with that, saying that she was playing herself or portraying herself as a victim. It seems to me, and look, what her next role is, I think that's obviously a huge question, but I do have to agree with Michael, that there's not a clear path here. I think that her path is kind of the Donald Trump, woman version of Donald Trump, has obviously run its course. And so what she decides.
Yeah, I think she's a new thing. I don't think she's like a female Trump. I think she's her own brand, and her own brand is, guys, more isolationist. Like, Trump is not an isolationist. Not at all. Okay, so more anti-Israel, more conspiratorial, more anti-Jewish, more isolationist. So I think she's her own thing. I think she's more of what some people wish Trump was. That's why I think we shouldn't underestimate her, because she is more of what some people on the right wish Trump was.
To do next, we'll obviously have to wait and see. But
And again, I know that she can't win, like she's too far right to win, like, I don't know, the presidential election or anything like that. Is like, probably, I don't know. But the thing is that she's powerful enough to have the spoiler effect and be able to basically have a lot of leverage on American politics, even if she doesn't have the majority. She has enough power to make a difference. You don't have to have the majority to be able to make a huge difference.
I do think it's pretty remarkable that he has now, most of the people that we've seen stand up to him and then decide that they're going to resign or retire are people who are all already kind of in the middle, people who we were surprised to see them supporting Donald Trump in full anyway. That is just not the case with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so this is one of the first cases of somebody who was full on supported the president, and then he turned on her, and now she's leaving office.
And so, Kristen Holmes, thank you so much. David Axelrod, I want to bring you back in the conversation and follow up on those excellent points Kristen just made. Number one, she's someone who sparred with Trump who is stepping aside. But number two, she's somebody who I know a lot of people out there watching this conversation disagree vehemently with her politics. However, she has a skill set. She is a communicator. She is a fundraiser. We don't know what she's going to do next. I would say she's dangerous to the president in this regard, in that she just said he's wrong on the Epstein files and she won. She said he has been tone deaf on these affordability issues, that when she goes back home to her district in Georgia, she's hearing people are still struggling. The challenge in a midterm campaign is to motivate your base. If she, for any reason, decides she wants to continue to speak in ways that are counter to Trump, if you will, dissonance with Trump, that could affect the Republican Party in the midterm year, could it not?
Yeah, it could. I think, John, more likely, if she's not doing anything this year, that she might be looking at 28. I know that right now J.D. Vance is way ahead in the Republican primaries and polling, but that's not really worth very much. And there is a likelihood that there'll be other people in that race. And so, maybe she is looking at that. And if she's looking at that, is our full frontal assaults on Trump for the next year that might damage the Republican Party helpful to her? Who knows? Maybe she's looking to a career in media, John.
Right.
Anything is possible here, but
that would be a downgrade if she's looking for. A career in media would be more profitable, but these people would be politically less influential. The Groyper movement.
I think she's proven herself. And look, I'm deeply critical of many things that she's said and done, but you have to acknowledge that she has made herself a formidable character in our public life. And it seems unlikely that she's going to
go. Yes. Let's actually listen to her full speech, her resignation speech, see what she had to say.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain.
Wait, nothing ever gets better? What the hell? She's like, what?
And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman.
Guys, this is an exaggeration. I know things are tough for some Americans right now, but things have gotten better. From 50 years ago, things are better. Your lifestyles, your access, it might not seem like it, but the average American is living a better life. I know when you tell that, people, they want to like throw a brick at you or something when you tell them that. But objectively, if you look at the data, the lives of Americans has improved every single decade.
The debt goes higher. Corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts. American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest. And the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future. And
guys, there was a tiny amount of, a few years in American history where, because Europe was completely destroyed in World War II, and there was basically almost zero competition to US industry, things got Americans got really, really rich. Okay. But before that, many Americans were dying in war. And then we had the Great Depression. Like, do people not remember these things? Like, we had so much war and violence. We had World War II. We had depression, Great Depression. We had so many, and people's lifestyle, people died so much earlier. People didn't have access. People like, oh, I cannot afford things. Yet it wasn't better. There was only one small period that you had, so many people got so rich, and that had nothing to do with government policy or anything like that. You got lucky because Europe was just destroyed, and American factories were the only ones left that could build things. That is unique. You cannot replicate that. On average, you're doing so much better.
I don't think they will ever realize the American dream, and that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates life at conception, and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders, I have fought hard for that. I fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations. And I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with all
those are American wars. Defending American allies is Americans' business. So you don't understand that. That's your problem.
To fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time. And we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills.
Yeah, I agree with that. Making English the official language of the U.S. It's amazing you haven't done that yet.
Making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other.
I agree with that. Okay, most of what she says is nonsense. Her isolationism, her anti-Israeli position is all nonsense. But this one is correct.
The U.S. making it a felony to medically trans a minor. And other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past.
Okay, if they have credit card debt, that's probably a personal problem. They should have. Okay,
How much credit card debt they have. They know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years. They actually do their own grocery shopping and know.
Yeah, you know what contributes to groceries getting more expensive? Isolationism, which you stand for. Your policies make these things worse.
Food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID. And I did that as chair of the DOJ.
Okay, so to be fair, those should be defunded because they are not unbiased media. Politically funded, government funded media shouldn't be this leftist. So defunding those makes sense.
Into America. Yeah. And I led the effort to defund hard left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID. And I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will never forget the day I had.
She feels jealous for why those people were let in and she's left out.
Right after.
She said she feels like she was more loyal to Trump than all of them, and she's being betrayed. Trump is pushing her aside, and everybody around Trump were people who were speaking ill of Trump, and she's the one who was loyal to him, and now she's being pushed aside.
For the election. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us.
Wow.
Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyal.
Yeah, other than that, basically being anti-Israeli and using the whole Epstein files as a way to attack Trump. So yeah, so everything else has been aligned with party lines, but these are not small issues. These are the ones that you just mentioned.
Should be a two-way street. and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America First.
Yes, so guys, look at her eyes. She's obviously, somebody saying, is she reading from a screen? Yes, she's obviously reading from a screen.
Because our job title is literally representative. America First should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America First in our halls of government.
Yeah, that is absolutely retarded. What the fuck are you talking about? America First means America, but it's strong, stays behind its allies. That's what America First means. There is no country on earth that could ever be strong without allies, without strong allies around the world. America became great historically by having powerful allies all around the world. So this is exactly why what you isolationists refuse to understand. America First means that you back your allies when they need you.
America First and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America First in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
He didn't threaten you. He called you a traitor, which you are. And yes, people who are abusing children should be punished, but also people who turn that into something that it's not and make conspiracy theories out of them to accuse innocent people of crimes that they did not commit, they should also be punished.
However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God, who created everything in existence. You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me.
Sure.
I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. With that has brought years of nonstop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never, ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it.
Yeah, she's a revolutionary. She's like, oh, rich, powerful, elite people are standing against the will of the people. This is basically revolutionary language. This is exactly the way the far left looks at the system, that all the system is there to get you, all the powerful elite are against you, which is, by the way, bullshit, guys. The people who are rich, the reason why they're rich is because they produce something that people could buy. So the richer you get, the better it is for them. I know this is an unpopular popular thing to hear. I know a lot of you might actually disagree with me saying this because hating rich people is so popular. But rich people actually would love for you guys to get richer. Because the richer you are, the higher purchasing power you have, the more you could buy their stuff. Rich people are not trying to keep you poor. Rich people are not against you. Rich people are rich because they produce something that everyone else wants. They didn't take wealth from the rest of society. They produce wealth. They did something that other people didn't, and everybody liked it, and that's how they got rich. So, and the rich and elite are not against you. In fact, the rich and elite donations by the elite class, that's probably is what's keeping this entire whole system together. If you allow democracy to be taken over by the tyranny of the majority, then all of these principles that makes the country great will not stand. I mean, this is not a conservative language. So the whole point of being a conservative is for you to conserve certain things rather than letting the tyranny of the majority to keep changing the direction of the country into just random directions. That's why in a republic is not an absolute democracy. So this language, this is the horseshoe theory. This is revolutionary language. The way that she's talking about. This is basically trying to use the power of the people to fight against, the populist. This is how populism works. Try to rile up the people to basically break the institutions. And I mean, the institution is spitting her out. So that's why these people have become anti-establishment. But again, we have to be worried about these people both on the left and the right, these type of anti-establishment type of people.
Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future.
May God, whatever. Okay, let's go. I don't care about the God part. All right, wait. Should we see what Nick Fuentes has to say about this? Because Nick Fuentes is kind of pissed. So let's see what he has to say about those. Okay. Hold on.
And our first story, I do want to talk about the Marjorie Taylor Greene resignation. Huge news and a big surprise, big shocker. This came out of absolutely nowhere. It makes no sense on some level. Marjorie is relatively young. I mean, she's an older woman, but she's relatively young for a congresswoman. And as far as I'm aware, I think she's more popular than ever. She has easily won every election since her first election, I think in 2022 or 2020. She's been around for a long time. She's been learning the game. She's been quite popular. And like I said, the resignation follows her total and complete victory over Donald Trump concerning the bill which will force the DOJ to release the Epstein files. Donald Trump has been working overtime to cover up the Epstein files, to bury them, to distract people from them, to persuade the members of Congress that want to get them released to stand down. He's really pulled out all the stops to prevent this from happening. And it was only this week, I believe we covered it on Monday and Tuesday. It is now headed to the president's desk for a signature. It is only this week that the bill finally passed, and it did so with the defections of 4 MAGA congressmen, Thomas Massie, Marjorie Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace.
Yeah, these are basically the 4 people that we need to somehow get rid of. We need to clean the house.
This was the latest and arguably the most intense conflict between Marjorie Greene and President Trump to date. It seemed that this is a relationship that had been fraying for some time, maybe due to political reasons. Marjorie's very ambitious. I think we all know that she has ambitions to run for a statewide office like governor or senator of Georgia. I imagine she was angling for the vice presidency last year. At least that's what I've heard. I always thought that was idiotic, but other people insisted that would happen, and it didn't. I imagine she was angling for a cabinet position. And so it would seem to me that she is basically somebody who outgrew Congress, but found herself reaching a very low ceiling. And it seemed that the party leadership perhaps...
Wait, guys, I haven't watched this yet. What are the chances that the Jews are going to be blamed for this? Did the Jews got rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene? What are the chances?
Somebody who outgrew Congress, but found herself reaching a very low ceiling. And it seemed that the party leadership, perhaps Trump included, was not keen on elevating her any further. Perhaps they recognized that she doesn't have a very high ceiling. I don't think she has what it takes, actually.
Oh.
I don't think that she has the right personality. I don't think...
You know why? Because she's a woman. Nick doesn't think women should be in politics.
Perhaps they recognize that she doesn't have a very high ceiling. I don't think she has what it takes, actually. I don't think that she has the right personality. I don't think she has the right politics. I don't think she's smart enough to become the governor, the senator, the president. I think everyone recognizes that. And so they want to keep her around as a staunch, energetic ally in Congress. They don't see any future Senate campaign or governor campaign with her at the top of the ticket that has any chance or any kind of legs or anything like that. And so I think there was some maybe political disagreement. There was maybe a political clash, and by politics, I mean purely politics. And of course, that has manifested as a policy disagreement. I think that as Marjorie has grown frustrated with her current standing or lack thereof, I think she has decided to rebel against the party and against Trump in particular. It's also the case that Congress across the board is rebelling against a deeply unpopular president who seems to be hemorrhaging support with independents and especially lately, even with Republicans on key issues like the economy, issues like immigration. These are Republican issues. These are Trump issues.
I think the poll shows that people are still happy with Trump on immigration issues. I think the main things that they're unhappy is, I think, the economy and Epstein files. That's what the main thing that they disapprove of when it comes to Trump, but not my immigration.
His support is dying. And so this has been the theme of the past year. Marjorie Greene, being what she is, she blows with the wind. She goes and bandwagons wherever the people are, whatever's popular, that's what she embraces. She serves as a bellwether, a weather vane for where the MAGA base is at, given that she is arguably the first or the second class of MAGA congressmen or congresspeople. At the same time, I think she's willing to represent that because she's dissatisfied. She's unhappy. She doesn't want to be a congresswoman for 40 years. She wants to be the senator, and then she wants to be the president. She wants to be the secretary of education. She wants more, and it's not being given to her. And that's very clear. We'll talk a little bit about why that.
You know, this is costly for Marjorie because the Groypers could have supported Marjorie Taylor Greene, but if Nick Fuentes considers her to be an idiot, then this could have been a huge boost for her, but she's going to lose a lot of support because Nick is not supporting her.
That is how we know that. And in any case, so this relationship has been fraying over the past year. It's political, but I think that Marjorie has seized on some very real popular sentiment. It also shows that it's not just political. There's also more to it as well, even if it's opportunistic. And this really metastasized until eventually it turned into an open conflict, an open battle between Marjorie and the president over the Epstein files. And Marjorie, standing with Thomas Massie and Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace, These were the 4 Republican defectors that insisted, and they voted and worked along with the Democrats on passing a bill in the House forcing the release of the files. Because of that, Trump put Marjorie in the crosshairs and has unleashed a vicious attack on her in the past couple of weeks, calling her a traitor.
She is.
And saying actually that he would go to to her district in Georgia in the midterms and maybe campaign for a potential primary challenger and work to unseat her and take the nomination from her as the incumbent. And that's a major escalation and a major betrayal. Consider
How is that a betrayal? Marjorie Taylor Greene betrayed Trump first. That's just Trump reacting to her
and
betrayal.
work to unseat her and take the nomination from her as the incumbent. And that's a major escalation and a major betrayal. Considering that Marjorie Greene has been one of Trump's closest friends and staunchest allies in Congress.
Yeah, but then you're accusing Trump of protecting pedophiles. So it doesn't matter how much you were supporting him before. That's a huge accusation.
Escalation and a major betrayal. Considering that Marjorie Greene has been one of Trump's closest friends and staunchest allies in Congress, one of the most conservative members of Congress. And in fairness, the areas where Marjorie has broken with the president, these are areas where the president has broken with the people. Marjorie disagrees with the president on H-1Bs, on bombing Iran.
No, have you seen the polls? Americans, just because Groypers are against the bombing of the Islamic Republic, that doesn't mean Americans are against it. Americans are actually, if you look at the polls, Americans actually support Trump's bombing of Fordo, attacking the Islamic Republic. They actually mostly support that. So what are you talking about?
These are areas where the president has broken with the people. Marjorie disagrees with the president on H-1Bs, on bombing Iran.
And H-1Bs, like American people don't have that. They're against mass migration. I don't think they are mostly against the H-1B visas. I do believe the H-1B visas are being misused and they're being abused and they need reform, but I don't think many Americans are against them entirely. They're against mass migration and illegal migration.
These are areas where the president has broken with the people.
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't.
Marjorie disagrees with the president on H-1Bs, on bombing Iran, on foreign aid to Israel, and on
foreign aid to Israel. Again, guys, don't let people just use foreign aid to Israel. The foreign aid that the United States gives to Israel comes back to the United States. Most of it comes back to the United States and creates American jobs. And also that foreign aid is so tiny compared to the entirety of Israel's military budget. It's really tiny. And it's really tiny for on Israeli standards, let alone American. It's nothing.
The people. Marjorie disagrees with the president on H-1Bs, on bombing Iran, on foreign aid to Israel, and on the Epstein files. These all happen to be MAGA, America First issues. These are America First labor, corruption, and foreign policy issues. And most of these things are things that Trump campaigned.
Yeah, actually, Americans don't give a shit that much when it comes to voting about foreign policy. That's why you guys had to use the Epstein files to go after anti-Israel, to go after people who want to support Israel and have work with Israel. The Epstein, guys, this is what the Epstein files are. The Epstein files was an excuse to punish pro-Israeli attitudes in the White House, given that most Americans don't care about foreign policy, so they had to use a domestic thing to make them care.
MAGA, America First issues. These are America First labor, corruption, and foreign policy issues. And most of these things are things that Trump campaigned on himself. Perhaps not specifically H-1Bs, but Trump did campaign on not starting new wars, on an America First foreign policy. And
he didn't start a new war. Guys, I'm not always supporting Trump. Like sometimes I agree with him and sometimes I don't. But this guy is full of crap. What wars did Trump start? He hasn't started any wars.
on himself. Perhaps not.
Guys, did I miss it? Did Trump start a war? What war did he start? Let me know in the chat. I haven't seen, like, you could criticize him for not stopping some wars that he promised he would stop, but he didn't start a war. Did he start a war? He didn't start any wars.
Specifically H-1Bs, but Trump did campaign on not starting new wars, on an America First foreign policy, and on releasing the Epstein files.
Yeah, somebody says Venezuela. Okay, yeah, let him start. That hasn't started yet. If it starts, then we're going to be like, and by the way, if he does start that, that would be justified. I would be supporting that. But so far, he hasn't started any war.
Perhaps not.
Yeah, bombing the Islamic Republic in Iran, that he ended a war with that. Unfortunately, that war was going, Israel was doing such a beautiful job with that war, and the bombing of Fordo didn't start that war. It ended that war. Unfortunately, that war should have continued until the Islamic Republic fell.
Labor, corruption, and foreign policy issues. And most of these things are things that Trump campaigned on himself. Perhaps not specifically H-1Bs, but Trump did campaign on not starting new wars, on an America First foreign policy, and on releasing the Epstein files. He's not delivering, and these are the areas where Marjorie has disagreed. In response, Trump has totally pulled the rug out from under her and declared an open war on her. Marjorie retaliated against the president. She replied, and she said that because of the statement, she's been getting death threats. She says that people are threatening her, harassing her, doxing her.
Oh my God. So I cannot criticize you because you're going to get death threats because I called you what you are. So if you are a traitor, I shouldn't call you a traitor because you claim that other people, then based on this, then Trump shouldn't criticize anybody. Or anybody popular shouldn't be criticizing anybody because of their popularity. Some people might hate on them and they might get death threats. So what should I do? Not call you what you are? Like, what the hell? Playing the victim card.
She retaliated against the president. She replied, and she said that because of the statement, she's been getting death threats. She says that people are threatening her, harassing her.
Boo-hoo. Come on. You're a politician. You can't take a criticism. People can't criticize you because of that.
Her. She's in fear for her life. And Trump has totally dismissed that. Now, the big news came today on Friday that she is resigning. And she talked in her resignation message about this conflict. She talked about how she's frustrated with the lack of change or willingness to change in Washington. She wrote about how she is
the lack of change in Washington is sometimes a good thing. And you know who believes that? You know what movement? What is the movement that is named after keeping certain principles and things the same, the way they are? Keeping them the way they are, meaning to conserve them. Is that the word that people use? I would think that people who want certain things to remain the same and conserve them, would they be called conservative? Okay, so yeah, isn't it a conservative thing to want to try to maintain what you have and not change it too much because it's working, because it has made you the greatest country on planet Earth? I think that's what they call them. They call them conservatives.
About this conflict, she talked about how she's frustrated with the lack of change or willingness to change in Washington. She wrote about how she is
just call yourself a progressive then.
Disappointed and saddened about the conflict with the president. She also writes about the pressure she's under and the danger. And she says that she will be resigning effective January 5th, 2026. And as of right now, that's it. If there is some deeper reason or greater reason, she didn't say it or imply it. And if she has any future political ambitions, she didn't say that either. And we'll work through this. This is from the New York Times. This is the news story about it. It says, quote, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, the hard-right Georgia Republican, said on Friday night that she would resign from Congress in January, an announcement that came days after President Trump branded her a traitor for breaking with him and helping to force a vote to compel the Justice Department to release its files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Ms. Greene, who was elected in 2020 and positioned herself as a
Guys, when are these files going to be released? Because I hope that these people get disappointed, because I can't wait for them to come out and say, well, these are not the files. Obviously, you destroyed the real files. And then I hope that happens so I could come out and say, I told you so. And you're never going to be able to satisfy these people.
breaking with him and helping to force a vote to compel the Justice Department to release its files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Ms. Greene, who was elected in 2020 and positioned herself as a diehard Trump supporter until a series of ruptures with the president on a variety of issues, made the abrupt announcement in a video and statement she posted online, filmed from her home in Georgia, with her Christmas tree on display behind her. Important detail there. She said, quote, loyalty should be a two-way street. We should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interest. She said that she had been cast aside by MAGA Inc. It was indicative that many common Americans had been cast aside and replaced as well. In a phone interview with an ABC reporter, Mr. Trump called her plans great news for the country. Love it. Love that. It is extremely unusual for a member of Congress to up and leave in the middle of a term, barring an illness or some extenuating circumstance that makes it impossible to carry on.
Guys, didn't she stay exactly as long as she needed to for her to be able to take advantage of the pension as a congresswoman or something? Like, it was basically exactly just a few days after that. Like, wasn't that the case? I don't know if that's the case.
But Ms. Greene said she had made the decision to leave because she did not want to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms. She added, I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. That's a really weird thing to say. It's called you fight. What do you mean a battered wife? You're not married to the president. And you're a congresswoman. What are you talking about? I refuse to just hope it all gets better. Well, who's going to make it better? You have to fight for that. You have to battle. I refuse to be a
Are you going to blame her because are you going to say that this is what happens when a woman becomes a politician? Because guys, if you don't know, if you're new here, Nick thinks that female women shouldn't be politicians because they're weak. I think that's what he thinks right now. I don't know if he's going to say it because he's trying to become a little bit more moderate now that he's this big, but that's what he used to say.
It all gets better. Well, who's going to make it better? You have to fight for that. You have to battle. I refuse to be a battered wife. What does that even mean? Who wrote this trash? I refuse to be a battered wife. What are you talking about? That part does not make any sense. Ms. Greene, who arrived in Congress in 2021 as something of a pariah in her own party, has tried out many different ways of doing the job. She carved out a singular space on Capitol Hill as part of a group of lawmakers at both.
So guys, I was correct about this. Marjorie Taylor Greene's length of service aligns with the minimum required for the pension benefit, and the registration timing appears to reflect that threshold. So she basically stayed in Congress exactly the amount of time that it requires for her to be like, she basically didn't wait. As soon as she got that, she didn't, and the pension is for life, by the way. So as soon as she got that, she was like, I'm out of here. Like she didn't wait a second. Amazing.
Extremes of the ideological spectrum, tried out many different. That part does not make any sense. Ms. Greene, who arrived in Congress in 2021 as something of a pariah in her own party, has tried out many different ways of doing the job. She carved out a singular space on Capitol Hill as part of a group of lawmakers at both extremes of the ideological spectrum, less interested in legislating and building up seniority in leadership suites, and more interested in influencing politics from the outside, using social media to troll adversaries. This is just the worst written article. She briefly acted as a team player, forgiving an unlikely alliance with Speaker Kevin McCarthy that brought her some internal standing in the Republican conference, landed her on prime committees that Democrats had removed her from. Stephen Bannon said the House is not big enough for her ambitions or personality. She had her committee assignments pulled by Pelosi in her first term and rose to be a national figure we haven't seen or.
I mean, the House, what does that even mean? One of the most powerful positions to be in the planet is not big enough for her. What are her ambitions? You know, being a congresswoman, there are like, when it comes to political power, there are fewer positions on the planet that gives you more influence. Like, how is this not big enough for her?
Heard the last of MTG. In the Friday Night Post, Ms. Greene said her last day in office would be January 5th.
Oh my God. Get out already.
Here's the thing. I have mixed feelings about the whole story. The whole thing is a total surprise. And I think the statement is basically a fake statement. She made this big, long video and she addresses some of her grievances and ostensibly she explains her decision, but I think we all know none of this is true. There's some other reason that she's resigning. None of this makes sense. And I think it points to one distinct possibility, which might be the most obvious. She wants to be the president. She wants to run for president. Everybody knows that. The 2028 primary.
Guys, what are her chances? Like, I don't want to say she doesn't have any chances, because every time that happens, then they get elected. They said that about Obama and he became president. They said that about Trump and then he became president. So what do you guys think? Do you think Marjorie Taylor Greene, does she have any chance? Does she what are the chances? Let me know in the chat. You guys are saying the answer is LOL. Okay, from 0% to 100%, what are the chances of her becoming president?
Possibility, which might be the most obvious. She wants to be the president. She wants to run for president. Everybody knows that. The 2028 primary.
Ooh, guys, somebody said MTG versus AOC. Marjorie Taylor Greene versus AOC. That would be the best entertainment. That would be the most entertaining election of history. Would you not agree? AOC versus MTG. Oh my God. Oh my God. We would be glued to our screens 24/7 for the whole campaign.
Which might be the most obvious. She wants to be the president. She wants to run for president. Everybody knows that. The 2028 primary is soon approaching. You've got the midterms in 2026. Shortly after the midterms, which the Democrats will almost certainly take over the House, is 2027. And in 2027, both parties are going to have a wide open primary. Trump is term limited, so the Republicans are going to have a wide open primary. It's anybody's game. And they'll be competing for Trump's endorsement as well. It's truly going to be wide open for the first time since 2016. And really, that primary started in 15. So we have not had an open primary, or we will not by the time of the next one, for 13 years. 12, 13 years since it has been anybody on the ticket other than Trump. You know, over a decade. That's a very long time and very unusual. So, of course, everybody in the Republican Party with ambitions is acutely aware of this.
Rubio, guys, our money is on Rubio. Guys, who do we pray to? A lot of us are atheists here, so we have nobody to pray to. So, God-believing people in the chat, please make a prayer to whatever you worship for Rubio to become the next president. Who agrees with me? Who's a Rubio fan in the chat? Who wants Marco Rubio to be the next president of the United States?
Okay, that's a very long time.
Oof, Ivanka Trump, that would be nice. I mean, that would be, never mind. Rubio.
That's one for 13 years. 12, 13 years since it has been anybody on the ticket other than Trump. You know, over a decade. That's a very long time and very unusual. So, of course, everybody in the Republican Party with ambitions is acutely aware of this. DeSantis, Haley, Pence, Vance, Noem, Rubio, Green, like all these people, and even many outsiders, they are all deeply aware, hyper aware, you could say, hyper conscious that what Trump is a lame duck. He is.
I don't know if he's powerful enough to get rid of MTG, or right now, if MTG has to, with all of her popularity, can be pushed aside so easily because of Trump attacking him. It seems that he has still a lot of power when it comes to influence within the Republican Party. By the way, if Trump keeps sinking in popularity, that's not really good for Rubio, because he might drag Rubio down with him.
Is a lame duck president that will not have a reelection, and everybody is acting accordingly. And I told you it would be like this, although when I was telling you this last year, I was strictly talking about the cabinet. And I guess I didn't really even consider that this would also afflict the House and the Senate. And that's something that maybe people didn't really take into account, which is that everybody's expectation is that the second Trump term will have no rules because Trump is term limited. He doesn't have to worry about reelection. People said that would be a positive. People said that would be actually helpful, that without having to worry about reelection, Trump could be as radical as he wants. He could be extreme. He cannot be held accountable. That was the idea going in. This was going to be a radical second term. He was going to be our vengeance, deliver a golden age, and he would not be constrained by public opinion or thinking about reelection, donors, all those petty concerns.
So yeah, this shows that shows that American institutions work. The checks and balances work. The radicalism does not pay.
Considerations, but I told you last year, no, the opposite is true. The exact opposite is true, which is that because the primary will open up, everybody in the party is going to be doing nothing other than angling for the nomination. So people in his cabinet are not really going to be focused on delivering America first, which might be a risky business. Because to actually deliver on Trump's agenda, you might have to be deeply unpopular. You've got to be invested in the success of the administration for the 4 years, for the full 4 years. If you're angling, however, to run for the nomination in 2027.
You know, this is actually very interesting. In America, even if the president wants to do, he doesn't have to worry about elections and he wants to do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. The thing is that he's working with with his cabinet, with congressmen and women, with senators, and anything you do has to be done with them. And they still have elections to worry about. So you're limited by them having to be, beholden to, responsible to what people want. So it will continue. This is why the American system works so perfectly. Checks and balances, accountability to the people, but also to the traditions and the institutions and the culture that have made things work so far. This is why I love America.
Which is really just 2 years in. Do you have that kind of commitment? Are you invested? Or are you going to be risk averse? Are you going to be doing things that are only good PR, doing things that only have an upside or a value for a potential presidential run? And people have a memory about these things. So you have to acknowledge, you have to understand that the Secretary of State, the Vice President, the Secretary of War, potentially the Secretary of Homeland Security, many in the Senate, many in the House, many of the governors even, they are all thinking about this deeply. And so their eye is not on the ball. And so what is maybe the most obvious here is Marjorie is resigning from Congress because she's got presidential ambitions. And like I said, this is also specific to her. And I said earlier, we know for a fact that she's ambitious. She ran in 2020 as a MAGA congresswoman when the Democrats won the majority. And very quickly, she was sidelined and I think also sort of typecast as a hillbilly, as a hill person, a Trump radical, someone like the New York Times described.
A conspiracy nut job. I mean, has anybody forgotten the space laser, the Jewish space lasers? The Jewish, like this woman forever be the Jewish space laser lady in my mind. Forever, okay?
Her, who is not interested in building a coalition or working across the aisle or passing legislation, but she wants to be a social media influencer. She wants to pander to the furthest right edge of the MAGA base. So she was taken out of the game quite early. She lost her committee assignments. She was marginalized really by her own party as well. And then in 2022, when the Republicans retook the House, Marjorie Greene sold out. And she went and made a deal with Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy is not MAGA. He's not loyal to Trump. He's not loyal to anybody. He's like the epitome of a spook. He lives with Frank Luntz. They share a house in D.C. It's weird. He takes tons of foreign money. He should have been the speaker many years ago, but he got blackmailed out of it. Like, this guy is he is like the definition of the D.C. swamp, the definition of everything that's wrong with the GOP.
Guys, many times when these people are talking about the swamp, they basically are talking about the establishment, the people who have been working there for a long time and just they're working exactly how the system is supposed to work. And the anti-establishment people, they call the establishment swamp. That's what they do. So just remember
Conference. And in 2022, when Republicans gained back the House by a hair, it was very difficult for the Republicans to choose a speaker because there was nobody in the House that could really command a large number of votes besides Kevin McCarthy. And the more radical members of Congress from the Freedom Caucus or from the emerging MAGA caucus, they didn't want to support him. They don't like him for the same reasons that I do. And Marjorie Greene basically made a deal with Kevin McCarthy and said that she would help him get the speakership. She would quell the MAGA uprising. She would mediate that if he would elevate her in Congress. And so there Marjorie was with Mila Yiannopoulos, her Jewish pedophile assistant, her lapdog.
What the fuck? Say again? What?
Made a deal with Kevin McCarthy and said that she would help him get the speakership. She would quell the MAGA uprising. She would mediate that if he would elevate her in Congress. And so there Marjorie was with Mila Yiannopoulos, her Jewish pedophile assistant, her lapdog. There they were on election night in 2020.
I mean, the Jewish part was very important to say, guys. Like, when you put Jewish and pedophile next to each other, you can see that they both are considered an insult in this man's mind.
They said cheers to joining the swamp. And Marjorie Greene sold out the MAGA base. She did a lap dance on Kevin McCarthy. She busted down for him. She whipped the votes. She attacked Matt Gaetz. She attacked others that didn't want Kevin McCarthy to be the speaker. And then she got her reward. She took her money like a whore. She got her position, and she was put back on the committees.
Okay. There's no love between the Groypers and MTG, apparently. Marjorie, the Groyper movement now considers, okay, this is good, by the way. You guys see this and you're worried, but this is good. Because Marjorie's views are basically pretty much Groyper-ish. So if the Groypers are against her, we want division between these radicals, okay? If they unite, if they work with each other, if these radicals work with each other, that's not good for us. That's not good for us. So the fact that they are one of their key assets, they're calling her a whore, that means that the division among these radicals is good. This is good news.
But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, by the way, somebody in the chat saying she did a deal, period. Exactly. These idiots, like, they don't even understand how Washington works. You have to work with people you don't like. Like, she made a deal. Like, you have to be making a deal with people you don't like is just politics. What the hell? So you see how crazy these people are? If these people were in Washington, they wouldn't want to be working with anybody. They're totalitarians.
Like a whore, she got her position and she was put back on the committees. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, and it didn't work out because, of course, Kevin McCarthy crashed and burned after just a year. Kevin McCarthy did not hold up his end of the bargain to Matt Gaetz and to the others. He did not deliver the January 6th Capitol Hill riot footage. He did not deliver on auditing Ukraine aid. He did not deliver on restricting the out-of-control debt spending by refusing to lift the debt ceiling. He didn't do any of that. As a result, he was bounced by Matt Gaetz. There was effectively a vote of no confidence by Matt Gaetz just before October 7th. Kevin McCarthy was overthrown and replaced with Mike Johnson. So Marjorie lost her sugar daddy in 2023. She made this deal. She sold out. She became deeply unpopular. Everybody recognized that. And then her sugar daddy, well, he lost anyway. And Matt Gaetz then eventually lost his position because the swamp retaliated against him. But this wasn't enough for Marjorie. Marjorie wanted the committee assignments, and she wanted to make this deal to demonstrate that she's a serious player because she wasn't happy being a Paul Gosar. She wasn't happy being a Thomas Massey. She, in other words, did not want to be stuck in the back of the classroom and be in Congress being the nut job, ridiculed and laughed at and not taken seriously. She wanted to be the governor. She wanted to be the senator. She wanted to be the vice president. She wanted to be in the cabinet.
Guys, okay, why would she want to be the senator? Like, what's the advantage to that? Can some Americans in the chat explain that to me?
She's very ambitious. So the reason she made the deal with Kevin McCarthy to get the assignments, it wasn't just because she wanted the committee assignments. It's because she wanted to start to build up her credibility. And she wanted to change her reputation. She wanted to repair her reputation as the hillbilly MAGA congresswoman. She wanted to be the bastard you could do business with. She wanted to be the woman that, okay, you know, she's demonstrating her political chops. She can make compromises. She can be a team player. She can eat shit and get attacked by the base.
Okay, so I'm reading this. The senator has far more power than any individual House member. Senators can block or advance nominations, treaties, measure legislation, and they only need one seat to be a national force. A congresswoman is one of 435. A senator is one of 100. So that's there's a lot more powerful prestige and platform. The Senate is seen as this upper chamber. It gives her bigger national profile, more media attention, and more influence in the Republican Party. Okay, that makes sense. And the 6-year term, House members have to run every 2 years, constantly fundraising. Senators get 6-year terms. So less campaigning and more stability. Okay, all right.
In order to help the party. And she thought that not only would she get her committee assignments, but maybe one day the GOP would select her to run for the Senate seat in Georgia or to run for the governorship. But that was delusional because she does not have what it takes. She is not smart. She's not very good looking. No offense. This is politics. It is what it is. And what's more, unfortunately, she is just not politically viable in the state of Florida, which had in 2020 2 Democrat senators, which had, Brian Kemp as the governor, who is not a radical at all. In other words, you can't be the MAGA congresswoman. You can't be what she is and be the statewide winner in a state like Georgia, which has become a purple state, which has become a pretty contentious state between Republicans and Democrats. So Republicans, I'm sure, told her that's never going to happen. They said governor, senator, vice president, cabinet post, never going to happen. You've been a congresswoman for what, like 4 years? And you got nothing going on. And Nobody likes you. The Democrats don't like you, you know. And so I think what very clearly happened is that she hit her ceiling. She sold out, but the party was not going to really give her everything maybe that she expected to get out of this. She made this proverbial Faustian bargain. She made her deal with the devil. And as is always the case, the devil actually doesn't deliver. You sell your soul and you don't get what you think you're going to get.
So the idea is that she sold out. Instead of being MAGA, she went with the establishment, or as he put it, swamp. But the swamp or the establishment Republicans didn't reward her the way she thought. So when he says the devil, he considers the establishment Republicans to be the devil. And when you make a deal with the devil actually doesn't deliver. So now this is why she's quitting, because she's disappointed. That's his take.
Bargain. She made her deal with the devil. And as is always the case, the devil actually doesn't deliver. You sell your soul and you don't get what you think you're going to get. So she sold her.
You should have told me earlier. Okay, I made a deal with the devil about 10 years ago. Well, it's too late for me.
soul. She gave up her credibility and she said, all right, am I going to be the governor now? And they said, get the fuck out of here. You're not going to be the governor. Be happy you're on a committee. They said, be happy you're on a committee. And maybe in 10 years you could be, maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll have that conversation. So she got rug pulled just like everybody does, just like they always do when you trust the party. And by the way, there's a lesson in this.
The lesson is you radicals are constantly blocked doing your radical things because American institutions are still holding and the system is doing its job properly. That's what it means. That means, guys, that means that we need to continue conserving the American way of doing politics, because even if you get in radicals in, they're not going to be able to do their radical things. That's why when Mamdani, as soon as he gets elected, he understands his limitations and he started softening his tone, because a lot of the things that he was saying is undoable as a politician. This is why I love America. You guys, you cannot just have pure democracy. You cannot have absolute democracy. This is the whole point of conservatism. Absolute democracy gets you Hitler. Hitler was elected. Okay, this is why you need to limit democracy to a certain degree, so that radicals don't come in and destroy your entire country.
So she got rug pulled just like everybody does, just like they always do when you trust the party. And by the way, there's a lesson in this. Everybody thinks they're playing the system. The system is playing you, because they made the system and they wrote its rules. So
yeah, it's called the Constitution. It's called the Constitution of the United States of America. Are you against that? The rules that is making it impossible for you to burn this country, it's written in this document called the Constitution, and it's working very well. Thank you very much.
Thanks. They're playing the system. The system is playing you, because they made the system and they wrote its rules. So everybody thinks they're going to instrumentalize the system cynically. They're going to infiltrate. They're going to subvert. Everybody thinks they're going to make a pact with the system with their fingers crossed behind their backs, thinking they have no idea I'm just using them to get ahead. When in reality, you cannot make deals with the system, because the system was here before you were born. And the system wrote the rules. And the system, it is the water in which you swim. And so the idea that you will get an advantage over the system, it is not mathematically possible. It can't happen. The idea that
then fuck off already. Then fuck off.
So the idea that you will get an advantage over the system, it is not mathematically possible.
This is good news for us. That means a radical is saying that us radicals have been completely blocked out of the system. Okay, a system that is blocking out viruses is a system that is working properly.
It can't happen. The idea that you're going to pull one, you're going to pull a fast one, you're going to sneak it past the goalie, it doesn't work. The house always wins. That's why it's the house. That's how they make money, because they make the games and they pay the dealers.
Yeah, and that the game that they're playing, the game that they have made, has made America a great country. So the house, between you and the house, I'm on the house's side. Yep, that's good. Keep doing. It's working out. You're the most advanced country. You're the most technologically, economically, culturally advanced country in the world. What are you complaining about? I mean, there's a lot to complain, but still, you're ahead of everyone else. I know things are tough, but you're ahead of everyone else.
So, you're never going to.
Oh, thank you. Min just said subscribe. Well, I appreciate it. Guys, if you're new here and you subscribe, let me know. I appreciate you guys subscribing.
Wins. That's why it's the house. That's how they make money, because they make the games and they pay the dealers. So, you're never going to get an advantage. And I've been a believer in this for many years. All these people, they go in there thinking they're going to, I know better. I know what I'm doing. No, you don't. Marjorie Greene, you should have stuck to your daddy's construction company. You do not know how to play. They're smarter than you. They've been there longer than you. They're more powerful than you. It was never going to work. So she sold out her supporters thinking that she could make a pact with the system. Surprise, surprise, it didn't work out.
Wait, now you know how to. Is he the man who thinks, who's going to crack the code, who's going to find a way to get these radicals in, to get the Jew haters, the isolationists? Is this the guy? Yeah, the Jew haters are isolationists. The part of the right that wants more government involvement in people's lives. They're racists. Again, guys, when I say racist, I'm against mass migration. I'm against all of these people from shithole countries coming in. But these people, like, being against mass migration is not racist. But this motherfucker, he's a racist.
Kevin McCarthy got blown up. Her deal got blown up with that. And anyway, they don't even want to run her for a higher office. So where does that leave her in 2025? Well, understandably, she's pissed because she thinks she deserves more. She's a star fundraiser. She's famous. She's got a big social media. I think the clout got to her head, and she's thinking,
Mike just said I subscribe. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
She's a star fundraiser. She's famous. She's got a big social media. I think the clout got to her head, and she's thinking, I deserve more. I'm not getting everything that I deserve. And I think she starts to resent the president. She starts to resent the GOP. And politically, she sees an opening, which is that there is some discontent in the Republican Party about the war in the Middle East, about the war in Ukraine, about some of the statements on immigration, about Epstein. And I think Marjorie finds her leverage. What's going to be her third act? If her first act was MAGA nut job, second act was traitor, sellout bitch. If her third act is going to be, how do I get the initiative back? I will become the voice of the discontented MAGA. If you're not going to listen to me as the team player, I'll go right back on the outside. I tried to be a team player for McCarthy. If you're not going to give me what I'm owed, then I'm going to.
Oh, but this is part. I think this is partly why Nick is against her, because Nick is supposed to be that. Nick is supposed to be the voice of, the part of MAGA who is pissed at Trump right now. So yeah, Marjorie needs to be attacked because she's competition.
If you're not going to listen to me as the team player, I'll go right back on the outside. I tried to be a team player for McCarthy. If you're not going to give me what I'm owed, then I'm going to become a problem for you. So she finds an opportunity, which is to become the mouthpiece and potentially a lightning rod for some of this internal dissent in the party concerning foreign aid to Israel, concerning Tucker.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Foreign aid to Israel? You know how little that is? If you stop doing that, in fact, guys, stop doing that. Israel doesn't need that money. Israel gets what Israel needs when it comes to United States support is basically military cooperation, intelligence sharing, drills, weapon sales, all of that stuff. Okay, support during wars and stuff. They don't need that aid. That aid is nothing, and America is not even. If you stop the military aid to Israel, which is not even an aid because you get it all back, you're not even going to feel it. It's not. It's so tiny. Do you understand how tiny it is? It's tiny based on Israeli standards, let alone American standards. It's not going to do anything to your way of life. None of you is going to feel that aid being stopped. Stop crying about it.
Concerning the remarks on H-1B and the Epstein files. And over time, she grows more bold and more outspoken and builds up this catalog of issues. And it starts to really represent like a distinct position, because if you disagree with Trump on labor, immigration, foreign policy, and Epstein, that's like a platform. So it culminates in this battle.
Somebody in the chat saying, stop starting wars then. Israel doesn't start wars. Israel stops wars. Israel stops wars. Go look at their history. Every single war that Israel has been involved with, the other side started it.
Trump slaps her down hard. Labor, immigration, foreign policy, and Epstein, that's like a platform. So it culminates in this battle. Trump slaps her down hard. Now, where does that leave her here in 2025 after the big Epstein dispute? I think that potentially this is one explanation. She recognizes that MAGA is a sinking ship. She's right. The Republicans are going to get destroyed in the midterms. They're going to lose the House.
Okay, guys, what's your prediction for that? Do you think the Groypers will have a way in, the Groyper movement? I mean, with MTG losing, I think their chances are lower than before, so this is good. Oh, wait, we got a super chat saying they are buying the competition. They want us to develop planes and not buy American parts. Fine. They are buying the competition. Well, American parts are the best parts, to be honest. I mean, let's be honest. Even with that American aid, it will still make sense. I mean, guys, in the same way that Israel's technology is still the best, and there is no alternative to what Israel produces in the areas that they are focused on when it comes to technology, when it comes to weaponry, you cannot do better than Americans, right? You guys agree? You cannot do better than Americans. So, I mean, this alliance between Israel and the United States just makes sense. And you don't need the aid to make it make sense. In fact, without the aid, it would be even more healthy, in my opinion. It would be more healthy because the aid is not really an aid. The aid is a leash. It's a leverage the United States has over Israel. So cut it out so you could have a healthier relationship between Israel and United States. It's just a very healthy relationship. And without the aid, it would be even healthier.
And even if Marjorie runs in 2026.
Yeah, exactly. Musad in the chat is saying it's not aid, it's a bribe. Yep, exactly. And you're supposed to, Israel is supposed to do so many things because of it. And if you just cut it out, Israel will basically be released from that burden to be able to do more of what it needs to do.
The sinking ship. She's right. The Republicans are going to get destroyed in the midterms. They're going to lose the House. And even if Marjorie runs in 2026 and wins, if Trump tries to primary her, it's going to be a vicious battle. It's going to be ugly. Battle lines are going to be drawn. It's going to be unavoidable. And she might make a lot of enemies. And certainly she's going to take a lot of hits. If she has Trump and AIPAC and the Jewish lobby going really hard against her for a year,
Jewish lobby, okay,
she's going to get bruised up, even if she wins. And even if she wins, she's going to be entering a Democrat-controlled chamber. They're going to take her committee assignments from her all over again, back to square one. So maybe Marjorie is just jumping off of the sinking ship. She doesn't want to play that game. She is going to avoid getting bruised up in a primary, avoid getting attacked, getting ads ran against her, getting maybe blackmail disclosed about her. And she's going to gear up for the 28 primary. Maybe that's the angle. Maybe that's the idea. Perhaps that's the goal. Another explanation.
What is she going to do in the meantime? That's a long time to wait.
Is who knows? Maybe they got something on her.
Oh my God. The Jews? Who is they? Who is they, Nick? Are you talking about the Jews?
That's the idea. Perhaps that's the goal. Another explanation is who knows? Maybe they got something on her. Maybe she's afraid. Maybe they have blackmail on her. Maybe they have something because she's not the first person to leave under mysterious circumstances. And she's also not the first person to leave under mysterious circumstances who became a problem for MAGA Inc. Matt Gaetz comes to mind. Do you remember the tale of Matt Gaetz? Matt Gaetz led the coup against Kevin McCarthy in September 2023. When Kevin McCarthy, or rather, when Matt Gaetz and the MAGA caucus shut down the government, Kevin McCarthy worked with the Democrats to open the government back up. So Matt Gaetz, with a single vote, initiated a vote of no confidence. Kevin McCarthy lost. He was overthrown and he was forced to resign. His own party took the speakership from him. Matt Gaetz led the charge. Kevin McCarthy resigned. After that, the Republican Party had it out for Matt Gaetz. They started to investigate him. They talked about releasing damning evidence about maybe past sexual or romantic relationships.
Which he had, and if I remember correctly, those were not just accusations, those were real, weren't they?
And so in 2024, after Trump won the election, Matt Gaetz was nominated for Attorney General. He was never going to get the votes for this. I don't know if it was ever serious. It became clear he would not get the votes. He would not be confirmed in the Senate. There was talk that the blackmail would be dumped on him. And so he withdrew himself from consideration and then dropped out of Congress. So he won re-election in 24, was submitted as a nominee for Attorney General, withdrew, and then dropped out and would not take office after his re-election in 24, which was not necessary. He didn't have to do that. And a lot of people said maybe they had blackmail on him.
Who is they? Who is the they? I think they, guys, am I right? By they, he means Jews.
And Matt Gaetz is another MAGA caucus guy. He fought Kevin McCarthy and won. He was another guy who was maybe not loyal to the GOP conference, not loyal to the system. And he also mysteriously resigned, and now he's at OAN, and it's kind of sad. And he's another one that's become a big...
What is he doing now? What is he doing now?
And Matt Gaetz is another MAGA caucus guy. He fought Kevin McCarthy and won. He was another guy who was maybe not loyal to the GOP conference, not loyal to the system. And he also mysteriously resigned, and now he's at OAN, and it's kind of sad.
Oh my God.
And he's another one that's become a big Israel...
He's not even OAN, not even at Fox.
GOP conference, not loyal to the system.
That is kind of sad, actually.
And he also mysteriously resigned, and now he's at OAN, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And he's another one that's become a big Israel critic. Oh, well, thanks. Now that you're at OAN, now you want to criticize Israel. That's super helpful, bro. You were a congressman for years. You were well known. And now that you're on OAN, now you found the courage to talk about Israel. Profiles and courage. Thanks. Helpful. Awesome. Hero.
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? A U.S. politician that is attacking America's main ally in the Middle East? Like, they have no business being a congressman or a senator or anything. Your main ally in the Middle East, you want to constantly attack them and then stay in the system? That's as anti-American as you could get, attacking your allies. Yeah, guys, attacking Israel is attacking America.
And it also reminds me of Madison Cawthorn. Madison Cawthorn, same deal. Young guy, pro-Trump, MAGA, very conservative, loves the Roman Empire. He goes on a podcast and says,
wait, who?
Profiles and courage. Thanks. Helpful. Awesome. Hero. And it also reminds me of Madison Cawthorn. Madison Cawthorn, same deal. Young guy, pro-Trump, MAGA, very conservative, loves the Roman Empire. He goes on a podcast.
I mean, guys, who doesn't love the Roman Empire? I mean, are you even a man if you don't love? Okay, if you are not obsessed with the Roman Empire, what are you doing? Unless you're Jewish, then I understand.
Madison Cawthorn, same deal. Young guy, pro-Trump, MAGA, very conservative, loves the Roman Empire. He goes on a podcast and says, it's Sodom and Gomorrah in D.C. There's orgies and sex parties. What do? Primary challenger. They release all this blackmail on him. He loses the primary. And now I think he's mounting a campaign. I think I saw him on Fresh and Fit the other night. So that's great. So Madison Cawthorn, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Greene all have met the same fate.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take down the system that you're part of, the system will spit you out like it chewed gum. I mean, if your computer gets a virus, then it's supposed to, I don't know, the antivirus is supposed to basically, that's how it works. It's like a disease. Okay, you're part of the system, you're against the system has to get rid of you. That's how it's supposed to work.
They all got elected to Congress. They stood up against the system, and then they got slapped down. They got pwned.
But isn't that how it's supposed to be? You're in the system, you're standing against the system. What is this? The system should be like, okay, I guess you're trying to tear the system apart and we're going to just watch it happen. Obviously, if you're against the system has to defend itself. What the fuck do you expect?
Nice. So that's great. So Madison Cawthorn, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Greene all have met the same fate. They all got elected to Congress. They stood up against the system, and then they got slapped down. They got pwned. Yeah. They got slapped down by the machine.
Love the machine. The machine is doing its job perfectly.
They're all MAGA, all pro-Trump, all anti-establishment. They all have their own ideas.
Yep. They're anti-establishment, and the establishment is anti-them. That's like, why are you guys acting like the establishment is doing something evil? If they're anti-establishment, what do you expect the establishment to do? They would try to get rid of them.
Ideas. They were all famous. They all maybe got a little too big for their britches. Very ambitious, not tactful. Very disruptive, not strategic. And each and every one of them got annihilated by the system. And I imagine...
the system that you're talking about is the government of the United States of America. Who are you rooting for? A bunch of radicals that want to tear it down, or the government of your country? Like, if you become a politician, what are you going to do? Are you going to play nice, or are you going to try to burn the whole thing to the ground? Because if you try to burn the whole thing to the ground, I hope the system wins.
Most likely, that is what happened with Marjorie Greene. I don't think actually this was a strategic move. I don't think this was a tactical move, because it makes no sense.
Somebody in the chat saying, I'm really confused how you justify shilling for Israel. I'm defending the country that has done more than any other country to fight the evil in this world. It's like, what are you talking about shilling for Israel? It's the easiest thing. Defending Israel is the easiest thing that I do, that it is easiest position that I have to justify. Honestly, it's one of the easiest things to justify. No other country fights evil in this world as much as Israel does. Supporting Israel is not supporting Israel. Supporting Israel is supporting the world.
Not strategic. And each and every one of them got annihilated by the system. And I imagine most likely that is what happened with Marjorie Greene. I don't think actually this was a strategic move. I don't think this was a tactical move, because it makes no sense. If you were going to take on the presidency or some other higher office, you would do so as a congresswoman And if Trump is crashing and burning, then you can articulate that in your position as a congresswoman or in your campaign. You can run as a survivor. The only reason why you might not want to stick it out is because if you do, they'll have the ability to make it really painful for you. So I'm not buying her explanation. I also don't think this is some segue into future political run. She might do that later, but I don't think that's the impetus behind this. I imagine she was either threatened or blackmailed. And I think that's the urgency. I think that explains the timing. She overthrows Trump on Epstein. It's a mutiny. I said it on Monday. I said, don't underestimate what a big deal this is. It's a huge deal. It's a mutiny. And Marjorie and Thomas Massey and Boebert and Mace, they led the charge. And for her to announce her resignation just a few days after that, that's a big deal. So I think she was threatened. I think that she was blackmailed. Something happened, but it was made clear to her that if she runs, her political career is going to end. I think that was intimated to her in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, what did they have on her that she got? If what you're saying is right, then she had done something so vile and disgusting that they could use that against her. Like, what did she do?
And this is why I have mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, I stand with her in principle. If she's criticizing Israel, if she's criticizing foreign aid, if she's criticizing...
Why are you so obsessed with criticizing Israel? You just admit it. You guys, I mean, and he does, but the rest of them should admit that they're just Jew haters. It's not about, you guys know it's not about Israel. These people just hate Jews.
Feelings about it. On the one hand, I stand with her in principle. If she's criticizing Israel, if she's criticizing foreign aid, if she's criticizing H-1Bs, if she's criticizing the GOP conference, in principle, I'm with her. And if she got punished for that, then I'm with her. The reason I'm actually relieved to see her go is because she is not a principled person. This is not a principled person at all. She is a craven political opportunist. She is an egomaniac. She just isn't that smart. And, you know, on some level, it's the more the merrier. The more people are saying the message, it's a great thing. But I think that someone like her, I don't trust her. I don't really see her as a viable leader. I don't see her as a leader of men because she is a woman.
Didn't I tell you? Because she's a woman, a lot of the views that he has is because she's a woman. This is the actual far right, guys. Patriotic people who want to protect their country against mass migration, and they have an issue with Islamic tyranny. That's not far right. This is the real far right.
And I don't think that she actually really took a brave stand at any point in her career. I think that it was popular to support Trump when she supported Trump. I think that it was convenient to support McCarthy when she did that. And I think that when she took up the mantle of dissatisfaction with Trump this year, again, I think that's where the wind was blowing. And so I don't think she's very principled at all. I don't think she's taken a principled stand in her life. I think she's reactive. She follows the trends. She follows and reacts to things that happen to her. And so I find her to be not only untrustworthy because she lied about me and lied about her relationship with me and lied about her views. So I think she's a liar. I think she's not courageous. She is a follower, a bandwagoner, so she has no principles. She worked with Kevin McCarthy, and if it wasn't for Matt Gaetz, we would still have Kevin McCarthy, and it would have been her fault. When it was convenient, she sold us out and thought she was smart for doing that. And in the end, the only reason she sounds like us or adopted our talking points is because we popularized them, no thanks to her. They became popular, no thanks to her. She didn't talk about this stuff. She didn't vote this way. She voted for foreign aid to Israel over and over and over again. She voted for foreign aid to Ukraine until it became unpopular. So good riddance.
I mean, he's right about that. He's the source of all of this shit. His movement, at least, is the source of all of this shit. They're ahead of everyone else on this.
Since I agree with Trump, it is great news for the country. And if the loyalty thing is true, loyalty does go both ways. She was not loyal to me. Good riddance. Everybody always wants to be ecumenical. You know, Tucker was telling me, why are you attacking these people? Hey, they attacked me first. He goes, who cares? Okay, so which is it then? I'm the problem for attacking people, but them attacking me is, I should ignore that? No, fuck them. And Marjorie Greene, good riddance. Enjoy your honeymoon with your weird husband at RSBN. Good riddance.
I mean, it's good that he thinks like that, because by the strict standards that he has, he will never have any allies.
You know, and by the way, she's a woman. So I never liked that to begin with. The idea that we were going to be led by a woman was, I'm surprised how many people fell for that. She's the one. She's going to be the leader. She's a woman. No offense, but I'm not about to follow a woman like that. You know, what even is this movement about if it has a woman as its leader? Give me a break. So
What the fuck? No offense, woman, but she's a woman.
All the fag hags, or I guess she's a fag hag, all the fags worship her because she's a badass bitch.
I mean, why would you say that? You had gay porn on your computer. How are you using that as an insult?
She's a boss ass bitch like fucking Beyonce. Give me a break. So I agree. I mean, I think she's out of place to begin with. She should be home. You know, she divorced her husband. She got remarried. There's some weird affair going on there, some weirdo stuff going on there. Her husband, her new boyfriend from RSBN, is always posting pictures of them fucking hugging and kissing. Hey, nobody wants to see that, man. Aren't you guys?
Wait, hugging and kissing? You don't want to see that? Like what? By the way, guys, he actually told his followers that marrying a woman is gay. I'm not kidding. He said that.
Her husband, her new boyfriend from RSBN, is always posting pictures of them fucking hugging and kissing. Going on there, some weirdo stuff. I think she's out of place to begin.
Hugging?
Her husband, her new boyfriend from RSBN, is always posting pictures of them fucking hugging and kissing.
You have problems with pictures of people hugging and kissing? Are you actually, you're like a cartoon villain? Like, ew, kissing and hugging. Ew, that's weird. He's like a cartoon villain.
Hey, nobody wants to see that, man. Aren't you guys both 60? Nobody wants to see a couple of 60-year-old crusty boomers making out.
They're kissing. They're not putting out their porn video out there. They're not showing them. It's kissing. It's hugging. You don't actually two old people hugging is kind of cute. What a weirdo. You're a weirdo. You're weird for thinking that's weird.
It's just kind of gross to look at, for crying out loud. Anyway, so I'm actually glad about the development. And you know what? You got to fight it out. I mean, look, either she got threatened or blackmailed and she's bowing out, and who knows what's being told to her, or she's dropping out because she's weak. You got to stick it out. She goes, I don't want to be a battered wife waiting for things to get better. Why did you get elected to Congress then? You get elected to Congress to fight, to represent. And isn't that her whole deal? Is that she's fighting for the people. I'm a fighter. I'm a truth teller. I'm doing this. Oh, and then it gets a little bit difficult. Then it gets a little bit hard. You've been there for 4 years. You've been there for 4 years, almost 5 years now. Couldn't hack it. That's why I'm so, at the end of the day, there was a critique of me many years ago where people said that I was hurting Congress people's careers. Their careers mean nothing compared to this movement because, and I used to tell people in private, people like Marjorie Greene come and go. It's a revolving door. You think you're a big shot because you're working in a congressional office? You're not. These people are disposable. They come, they go. They rely on donations. They're not inspiring. They're not even that smart. If they can lay down their career to confer legitimacy upon this movement, it'll be the most productive thing they've ever done. So I remember when she went to AFPAC 3, people said, oh, you're hurting a MAGA congresswoman by association. I would say that me associating with her, that's the best thing she could have done at the time. Now she's done. Now what? Now what? I remember people in...
Then what the fuck is your plan? What are you guys going to do to get into politics?
I would say that me associating with her, that's the best thing she could have done at the time. Now she's done. Now what? Now what? I remember people in Matt Gaetz's office acted like big shots. Oh, well, you know, we're with Matt Gaetz. Oh, yeah, you know, well, we're with Madison Cawthorn. Oh, we're with Marjorie Greene. Who must go? Who must go? How many cocksucking GOP apparatchiks, how many wannabe student council president strivers, House of Cards LARPers, how many ambitious dorks and nerds working in these congressional offices looked down on this movement and said, oh, the Groypers, oh, what are they up to? America first? Yeah, okay. Yeah, where are they now? Who must go?
Well, where are you now? You have no position. Like, you lost a fellow Groyper in Washington. Like, where are you in Washington?
Marjorie Greene and the whole operation, flush, the whole operation, Isaac and everybody over there. Hey, Isaac, flush, bye-bye, bye-bye. Yeah, I know. Really, honestly, she did them a favor. I can't imagine anything less dignified than working for a woman congressperson. I can't imagine anything less dignified than that.
This guy really, really hates women. Really hates women. He told his followers to dedicate their lives to him instead of going out and finding girlfriends and getting married.
Having to get schlepped around by her, making her gay-ass podcast that gets no views, and writing her talking points and going to the villages, going to the blue hairs in the nursing homes. Actually, she did them a favor. Nothing less dignified. Flush. Goodbye. Bye-bye, Matt Gaetz. Bye-bye, Madison. Maddie, as they call him. Bye-bye, Marjorie. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Where are they now? Yeah, I'm a little unhappy with those people. So it's a little bit delicious. And you know,
well, you don't have anyone else.
You know what? Here's the problem. All these various people, these congressmen, these people that work for them, they don't have a clue. They don't have the vaguest clue as to how we're actually going to get out of this mess. What's the big idea, actually? What's the big idea? Let's say you're Marjorie. Let's say you're Matt Gaetz. Let's say you're Madison Cawthorn. Let's say you're Paul Gosar. What's the big idea? We're going to vote in lockstep with Kevin McCarthy forever? That's going to take us to the promised land? We're never going to take risks with our rhetoric, with our vote. We're going to live in fear constantly of a little piece of paper slipped under the door from the leadership. We're going to live in fear that we're not going to get money from the conference. They don't have the vaguest clue, and that's irresponsible about how we're going to get to the promised land. For them, it's like they're going to build out their career. They're going to get reelected and get donations and get the privileges and the perks of being in Congress while they're basically working with the enemy. And they're never outspoken and they're never bold. And in the meantime, they disavow people like me. In the meantime, these types are disavowing people like myself. Madison Cawthorn called me a right-wing nut. Remember that? Called me a right-wing nut.
You
and
are.
Marjorie Greene says, oh, I don't know who that is, and making up shit about me on social media. Who's going to save us? You? Who's going to move the Overton window? You? Where is the Overton window? At the nursing home?
Well, what's your plan? What's your plan? How are you going to make it into Russia? I want to know what his plan is so that we could actually talk about how to stop it on this channel. Okay. We need to watch this guy more so we know what his exact plan is, and we could strategize and talk about what are the best ways to, like, at least in this corner, we could talk about that, right?
Who's going to do it? Who's going to fight the battles? Who's going to make the arguments? So this is just a lesson. It's like, in the end, all these congressional offices are somewhat worthless. They're worthless in the sense that they played it safe, they were risk averse, and in the end, it didn't even matter These people that were elected like Gates and Greene, they played it safe. They never took risks. Gates did something honorable with McCarthy. I'll give him that. But generally speaking, they didn't speak out. They didn't fight. They barely did anything. They didn't help the nascent America First movement at all because they thought they were playing it smart within the machine. And in the end, it didn't even matter. In the end, what did they have to show for it? Nothing. The country, the Congress, the policies, it is exactly as it was. Arguably, Mike Johnson is worse than Kevin McCarthy. Worse. And many people in Congress believe that. So even to the extent that they overthrew McCarthy, now we just got Mike Johnson. They just replaced him with another Petri dish creation. He might as well be Eric Cantor's DNA. Might as well have been grown in a laboratory from one of Eric Cantor or Paul Ryan's stem cells. So this is just a message, which is you have to tell the truth. You have to fight. You have to take risks.
Okay, so by tell the truth and take risk means that be more bold with your hatred for Jews, for hatred for women, for being everything that made America a great country. You just have to be more bold about that. That's what he means by the truth, apparently.
Playing it safe profits you nothing. Because that was the dogma from all of these people. I've dealt with all these people in one way or another, and they always slam the door on my cock because they said, well, we got to live to fight another day. We got to play it safe. That's not really politically possible. Okay, and how did that work out for all of you? How did that work out? What did it profit you or the movement or anybody? Nothing. So I agree with Trump. Good riddance. Uninspired. We need a new generation.
He means me. He means himself. That's what he's talking about.
We need a new generation of congressmen that are just better and smarter, hiding their power levels, understand what it takes, working behind the scenes, not so terrified. So as far as Marjorie's concerned, just another in a long list of has-beens, could-have-beens. Yeah, I really think she's a ridiculous person. So I hope she feels safer now. Now that she's resigned, I hope she feels safer. I hope she doesn't feel like a battered wife. She can take care of her kids. She can make out with her RSBN boyfriend some more. But I agree with Trump. It's great news for the country.
All right, guys, let's go and discuss all of this in our group chat, in our group discussion. So let me post we have a politics group discussion. I put the link in the chat. Let's go and do a group call there and talk to each other. It's a free community. We'll just go in there and we just join a group call. So I put the link in the chat. So it's a join our politics discussion group. So let's just hop over there and talk maybe about Nick over there and other political things. So that's just our discussion group. The link is also in the description. All right, so I'm going to end the stream and let's just hop over there and continue the discussion over there. Okay, guys? But there, everybody could speak there. I speak, you guys speak. Everybody could open their mic and speak. And you could also just listen to our discussion if you wanted to. All right, so see you guys there. I'm Israel Chai, Javi Shah. See you in the next stream, same time tomorrow. All right, guys, bye. Oh, there's error. Here, let me put the link again. Here, I'll put the link again. There we go. Okay, this link should work. Check the link now. All right. Bye, guys. Don't forget to like.